12. मैच बॉक्स में क्या
असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा मृतङ्गमय सूर्यो भाति चन्द्रतारकं नैमा विद्युतो भान्ति कुतो यमग्नि तमेव भान्तमनुभाति सर्वं तस्य भासा सर्वमिदं विभाति।
Yes, okay.
तत्र सूर्यो भाति न चन्द्रतारकं नेमा विद्युतो भान्ति कुतो यमग्निः तमेव भान्तमनुभाति सर्वं तस्य भासा सर्वमिदं विभाति। ॐ श्री शङ्कराचार्यवर्याय नमः। सर्वेभ्यो देवेभ्यो नमः। सर्वेभ्यो गुरुभ्यो नमः। कर्पूरनीराजनं सन्दर्शयामि। ओम शांति शांति शांति।
Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastuma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti. Shruti Smruti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeri Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. The text, as you know, that we are going to do during this week is Mundakopanishad. Mundaka Upanishad becomes Mundakopanishad, meaning the name of the Upanishad is Mundaka. Like Isha, Kena, Katha, Prashna, Mundaka, Mandukya, etc. So these are the names of various Upanishads. There are said to be 10 principal Upanishads. They are called principal Upanishads because Bhagavan Shankaracharya, Bhashyakara, has written Bhashya or commentary on them. Therefore, they are regarded as the major Upanishads. Of them, Mundaka is one. The origin of the name Mundaka Upanishad is interesting. Munda can mean a person with a shaven head. It can also mean a barber who shaves their head. And so shaving of the head is associated with this name. And hair generally are said to represent the attachment that a person has. Because whether it is woman or a man, I think there is a lot of attachment to the hairstyle, and we spend a fair amount of time every morning in the mirror looking at our hair, and so hair sort of stands for attachment. And therefore, removal of hair stands for, symbolizes the freedom from attachment. So munda means this, you can say that this Upanishad is meant for a shaven-headed person. A person who has shaven the head, meaning that who has largely become free from attachments. He is taught also by a shaven-headed person, where the hair represents the ignorance, and removal of ignorance is what this Upanishad does. In that sense, it is also a barber which removes the hair of ignorance. And therefore, the one who is shaven-headed, in the sense that one whose ignorance has been removed, who is a wise person, is the teacher of the Upanishad in every case. So, there are various meanings given to the word Mundaka. And Mundaka Upanishad, an Upanishad which perhaps is taught by the Mundaka Rishi also, therefore also it is first called Mundakopanishad. Upanishad, as you know, is a word which is made up of three elements, Upa, Ni and Shat or Sat. Of this, the Sat is the root. Upa and Ni are the prefixes. So each one has a meaning to contribute to the word Upanishad. The word Upa is a prefix. Upa in the sense of samipya, that which is in the proximity. Therefore, Upa in a way symbolizes the subject matter of the Upanishad. The subject matter of the Upanishad is someone or something that is Upa or samipya or in proximity. The nearness. And when proximity or nearness is not qualified, so this table is nearer to me than you are, and the body is nearer to me than even the table, and the mind is nearer to me than even the body, and the self is nearest to me, unqualified nearness. So qualified nearness, the things outside the self represent the qualified nearness. Self or the Atma is near, unqualified near, in unqualified proximity. Therefore, Upa, which sort of suggests the subject matter of this text, stands for Atma, the self, which enjoys unqualified proximity. Ni also says something about the manner of knowledge. Ni stands for Nishchitam. So Nishchitam Jnanam. This knowledge is the Nishchitam Jnanam, firm knowledge, Drudam Jnanam, abiding knowledge, knowledge free from all obstacles. So knowledge is said to have three obstacles: Avaranam, Samshaya and Viparyaya. Avaranam, ignorance. Samshaya, doubt. Viparyaya, the error. So it is interesting how about the self-knowledge, now each one of us is aware of ourselves. It cannot be that I am not aware of myself. I always know myself, and I always have a conclusion about who I am. At every moment I have a conclusion, sometimes called a notion, about who I am. Meaning that I have no choice in not being aware of myself, and it is the nature of my buddhi to have a conclusion about whatever it is that it comes in contact with. Right now you are all seated in front of me. When I am communicating with you, some judgment in my mind about who I am communicating with. Because without that judgment we cannot interact. When someone calls me, who is speaking is the first question. And the custom is that the one who calls should reveal who I am. Or rather, the one who receives also should reveal who I am. This is so and so receiving the phone call. This is SWAMI VIDITATMANADA. Then that fellow decides whether he wants to talk or not. So the way this person interacts is determined by who he or she is interacting with, because that is what determines the manner in which I interact. Whether he is a friend, he is a stranger, he should be aware of, etc. So first judgment is made. Beware of this person. His friend, He is stranger. I don't know. So this is the first judgment that takes place in my mind, and then my vyavahara or interaction takes place. So in that sense, the self is always known to me, it is self-effulgent. But it is the nature of my buddhi to always have a judgment about whatever it comes in contact with. Therefore, the first thing in my life about whom I have the judgment is myself. As a human being, I enjoy self-awareness. And therefore, I always entertain a conclusion or maybe a notion about myself. Meaning that I always have a conclusion of who I am. And then only next interaction takes place. First is who I am, then who the other person is. So, the way I will interact will determine upon my judgment of who I am. If I am the son, I interact in one way. If I am father, interact in a different way. Disciple, interact in the one way. Guru, interact in another way. Meaning that the way I will interact will be determined by what my conclusion or judgment or understanding is about myself. Therefore, in all my interactions, in all my vyavahara, that self-conclusion or self-judgment plays a most important part. Then I judge who you are, and that's how the interaction will take place. If this basic understanding who I am, well, that understanding is the basis of how I relate to the world, how I relate to myself really. How I relate to myself also is determined by what I think I am. I'm a successful person, I look upon myself in one way. I'm not successful, I look upon myself in another way. I'm a shishya, look upon myself one way. I'm a guru, looking upon myself in another way. Thus, how I look upon myself is also determined by what my judgment or conclusion is about myself. You know why I'm saying all of this? Is because this self is the most important entity in our life. We are self-conscious beings, and therefore we are always aware of the self. It is the nature of the intellect to always have a conclusion or judgment about whatever it comes in contact with. Therefore, I always have a conclusion or judgment about who I am. Then whatever else I think even my thoughts, my values, my priorities, all of these are determined by what my conclusion is as to who I am. Understand that even my values, my priorities, my whole life, my whole thinking is all determined by who I think I am. Although that may also change, therefore it is likely that my priorities also may change, my values also may change, everything may change, depending upon what my conclusion or judgment is about myself. Therefore, this self is the most important entity in our life. And if that self is known correctly, then everything that I do becomes correct. If that self is known wrongly, everything I do becomes wrong. So whether in my life what all I am doing is right or wrong is determined by who I think I am. That is why Upanishad focuses its attention on revealing what the true nature of I is. I is called the self or the Atma. Therefore, Atma, the self, is the most important topic of the Upanishads. The Upanishads also talk about other things. Talk about creation, talk about Ishvara, talk about the relationship. Yes, the Upanishads do. But the most important topic of the Upanishad is Atma, the self, represented by Upa, the one that is most proximate. Ni nishchitam jnanam, the knowledge that is free from all doubts and errors, because doubts and errors are said to be the product of ignorance. So as long as my knowledge is not firm because of doubts, or knowledge is wrong because of error, it's called not called knowledge, it's in fact ignorance, which is what we have generally. Therefore, ni means nishchitam jnanam, the knowledge free from the doubts and errors, samshaya and viparya. And sad is the basic root, which also tells us what this knowledge does. So what is the subject matter of knowledge is revealed by the prefix upa. For the nature of knowledge is revealed by the prefix ni. And what does this knowledge do to us? Sad visharane gatau avasadane. Visharanam means shithilikaranam, loosening. Gati means this knowledge takes us someplace. Avasadhanam, this knowledge destroys something. This knowledge loosens something, destroys something, and as a result takes us somewhere. Where does this knowledge take us? Why should we be taken someplace? Is it necessary that I should be taken somewhere? Or am I all right as I am? If I am all right as I am, if I am content with what I am, I don't have to go any place. I don't have to do anything. But usually I am not content with myself. Usually I am not satisfied with myself. That is our problem. The basic human problem is self-dissatisfaction. And this is what other creatures are free from. Creatures, other human beings, do not have this problem of self-dissatisfaction. Therefore, there is no samsara. The dogs and cats and other animals, whatever they are, other than human beings, they don't have samsara. Samsara means what? They don't have anxieties. They don't have stresses. They may have fear of life, etc. Otherwise, no anxieties, no stresses, no raga dveshas. No, Swami, the cat pounces upon the mouse, there's no dvesha. The cat hates this mouse, therefore it wants to. It's food, that's all it is. Understand that in nature there is no raga and dvesha. Even though it may look like the wild or ferocious animals are very cruel, and therefore they kill their prey, so we brand them as cruel, because it would be cruel if we do that. But I do not know if a tiger makes a deer as its prey, is it cruelty? It just is nature. Why is it so? Because when the tiger is satisfied with his meal, he leaves the deer also, Not only that, but when the tiger is satisfied, he will walk away, leave the prey for the rest of the animals. not a human being. He will collect everything and not allow anybody to come nearer, Because human being is greedy. He wants to possess everything. There's no greed in animals. They don't want to possess anything. Once they are done with, they just leave it for the other animals. They're all waiting. When the big one goes, then a smaller one comes. When that goes, yet smaller one comes. When that goes, yet... This is a wonderful thing going on in forests. You can see this, how there is this balance, ecological balance everywhere. And therefore, everything in nature is in harmony. Because it's all done without raga and dvesha, without kama or krodha, without cruelty. There is no himsa or violence or cruelty in nature. Therefore, there is always harmony in nature. It's likely that in human life there may not be harmony because there is greed, there is resentment, hatred, cruelty. Human being, even though the most evolved creature, those fellows are not evolved much, not as much as we are evolved. And they don't have all these problems of greed and cruelty, etc. We are the most evolved. And what is the price of evolution? That we have greed, we have cruelty. Why? Because there is self-dissatisfaction. Other creatures are free from that burden of self-dissatisfaction. Therefore, the one with whom the most problem is myself, because I generally do not like myself. Don't tell me, Swamiji, I love myself. He bless you. If you love yourself, you solve the problem. That's all we have to accomplish in our life, is to discover a love for ourselves. Okay, Swamiji, from now on I will love myself. Thank God. If that works that way, by saying that I love you, if love happens, then it's fine. Then there is no problem in life. You should, love your parents and love your children and love your spouse and love this and that. It's all good. But unfortunately, love cannot be willed. Love cannot be willed, meaning that I can't will, but I will love this person. Can we? Is it the result of my will? Then there will be no disputes in life. Because spouse is all they have to say, I love my spouse. No conflict, no problem. Unfortunately, that may not happen. Because love cannot be willed. Love has to happen. Happiness cannot be willed. There is somebody who says, खुश रहो, अब कौन खुश नहीं रहेगा? If it was for me to remain happy, who will want to be unhappy? So you are telling somebody to do something which is not willed by him. We can ask somebody to do something for which that person has freedom. Even Vedas also can command us, do this and do that, provided we have the will to do or not to do. Veda also tells us, please walk in air, please drink fire. I'm sorry. Even the Veda's injunctions I cannot fulfill because I don't have that freedom. I can only do that which I can will, for which I have the freedom to do. Love, if I had the freedom, there would be no samsara at all. Freedom to love, no samsara. Be happy, for freedom to be happy, no samsara. But if we take pictures of all of you, it is very evident, how the faces are so serious and I shouldn't say sad, but then you wonder, what it is. But that's what my face also would be. Poor human being is a sad creature. It is said that the human being is the most unhappy creature in the world. Would you believe that? Unhappiest creature in the world is human being. Other people are not unhappy, other entities or other creatures. Anyway, is it good or bad? Swamiji, how nice would it have been? A buffalo is always content. See buffalo sitting in the, puddle of mud, pool of mud, come back in the evening, still sitting there, no stress in the world. So when you go to work and look at the buffalo and come back from work with all the stresses, you wonder whether that fellow is better or I am better. But Swamiji, should we go back to being a buffalo? No, that's not the solution. Buffalo does not feel stress because he is not evolved enough to feel stress, understand? Buffalo is not sensitive enough to feel stress. Buffalo does not recognize that even though that entity gives milk, all the milk, but it is cow that is worshipped. Nobody worships the buffalo. How Indians are, I don't know, but then, even though cow doesn't do anything, sometimes doesn't give any milk, and still for puja, who do you bring? A cow. If you were a buffalo, how would you feel? A buffalo had a human mind. Hey, look at this, I am giving all the milk and they are worshipping cow, not me. Then buffalo would be a miserable creature, is it not so? All the time feels a sense of rejection, humiliation, they hit it, because buffalo is considered to be thick-headed. The only way you can treat it is just by, banging. And if I were buffalo, I would feel very hurt. No problem with buffalo. And poor cow also, even though you try to worry, cow doesn't feel anywhere that it is elevated or it is, even if you worship, he doesn't know what you're doing. Very often we try to worship cow, we get a mala and put, the cow doesn't want. You have to put tilak, cow doesn't want this thing, that mala, it doesn't want it. And then it wants to remove it, Unless it's our cow which has been trained, for a long time, then it knows. But otherwise, cow has no concept of being revered, honored. For me, the mala, I feel I'm honored, and you can see the expression on my face. Offer a mala, same mala to the cow. So that way it looks like the cows and buffaloes are all free from all problems and stresses. Would you like to go back and become a cow or a buffalo? Understand you have to spend many millions of years to evolve into a human being. So after evolution, this is our situation. As a result of evolution, have you become happier or miserable? What kind of evolution is this that makes you miserable? You're most evolved creature and most miserable creature. Why is it so? Because you have self-consciousness. I'm conscious of myself. And I'm conscious of a self that I see as a limited. Not that is limited, I see as limited. Meaning that I always see myself as a limited being. limited in one way or the other. You ask me a question and I can't remember. Swamiji, what was that verse in the Bhagavad Gita? I get frustrated if I can't remember a verse. While I'm talking to you also, sometimes I struggle. That verse does not come to my mind. That word may not come to my mind. You struggle. And if you're very conscious, feel frustrated. So this struggling, being frustrated, all these are very special things about human being. The most evolved creature is the most miserable creature. Unfortunately, in spite of you're honoring that person, you keep on honoring him, and still he, for a few minutes or for a short time, is happy. This is what next? You worked very hard and saved money and now bought a new house and you all go into the house and enjoy it. For how many days? 1 month? 2 months? 3 months? You look around, oh, but that house is even bigger than mine. This is even, mine is 5th floor, there is 8th floor. Or I'm looking at the garbage, collection, he looks at the garden. Stuff like that. So dissatisfaction comes from where? Why am I dissatisfied with my house, with my furniture, with my car, with my job, with my salary, with my this, that and whatnot? Because basically I am dissatisfied with myself. So it is not the car with which I am dissatisfied. It is I with the car with which I am dissatisfied. You follow? If that car is BMW, not that I am satisfied, doesn't belong to me. My object of satisfaction or dissatisfaction is always myself. I may be dissatisfied with the car, basically I am dissatisfied with I possessing the car. Dissatisfied with the house, I as the owner of the house. Meaning that all satisfaction and dissatisfaction all centers upon I. Because of my conclusion about who I am. And I cannot escape that conclusion because I'm always conscious of myself. I wish I were not. You go to sleep and you wish that you wake up with all these memories and stuff like that. You can't. And that's why people resort to all kinds of vices. How to, in our Puja Swami's word, how to stone the mind. Because my greatest problem is confronting my own mind, meaning confronting myself. Therefore, presently, who is the greatest problem for me? Myself. Which myself? The self about whom I have this conclusion, this understanding. All right, Swamiji. From now on I will say that I am complete, I am whole, I am full, I am Brahman. You can say that. And for saying doesn't do that. It's not enough. As I said, Khush raho, be happy. Saying, if I could be happy by my will, I would never be unhappy. Similarly, if I could be Brahman by my will, I am Brahman. It remains only words. The words do not have any content in them. So this is not something that we can will. It is something that has to happen. You follow? Knowledge is not something that I can will. Knowledge is something that has to happen. And therefore some preparation is required. If I can will, I'm Brahman, I'm all right, I'm happy, I'm whole, complete. If I could will that, that wouldn't have been a problem at all. Or, I was all right, even if I'm incomplete, I'm okay, then also there's no problem. You follow? If I am satisfied being an incomplete being, then also no problem. If I could will to be a complete being, no problem. And if I could accept myself being incomplete, also no problem. But no, I cannot accept an incomplete self. What's the problem? Why don't you do that? You decide, I'm going to accept myself as I am. That's a value, yeah. As a value, it is an excellent value. Self-acceptance is a value. But true self-acceptance happens when self becomes acceptable. Meaning that the self has to become acceptable. Self has to reveal itself as acceptable. There's a verse in Kathopanishad which says, Esha sarveshu bhuteshu gudotmana prakashate. Esha sarveshu bhuteshu gudah. Esha Atma, this Atma in all the beings is hidden. Self or Paramatma is the self of all the beings without exception. It is Brahman. We don't have to make Atma Brahman. Atma is Brahman. Na prakashate. Unfortunately, it does not shine as I am Brahman. How does it reveal itself? I am a Jiva. The Atma, that is Brahman in true nature, however, does not reveal itself as Brahman as whole or complete. It always seems to reveal itself as an incomplete being. You see what I am saying? Therefore, I cannot will that I am Brahman because it keeps on revealing itself as incomplete. So what should I do? I should do what is required such that Atma reveals itself as a complete being. I have no choice. So knowledge is not something that is willed, understand? That I am Brahman. I have to discover myself to be Brahman. I have to see or experience, if you want to use the word, but anyway, know myself as Brahman. Swamiji, what is the difference between knowledge and experience? Big debate going on. Is Atma to be known or to be experienced? So please tell me right now, do you know yourself? Last night everybody gave the introduction. You could not have introduced yourself unless you knew who you were. It means, I know myself, do I not? You know yourself, is it not so? You or I know ourselves as the self reveals itself to be. Esha sarveshu bhuteshu gudotmana prakashate. The Atma, the self that is hidden in all the beings, na prakashate, does not shine in what? Does not reveal itself as what it is. The Atma reveals itself as a limited, incomplete, wanting being. Meaning that I am always aware of myself, but generally aware of as what? As a limited, wanting, incomplete being, a lacking, wanting self. That is how my Atma seems to reveal itself. Whose fault is it? Atma's fault? So we are aware of the self through an agency called mind. So mind is like the mirror. in which we see ourselves. And so it is whether I see my face as it is, or I see my face as revealed by the mirror. Is it not so? So if mirror has spots on that, then my face also will appear with spots. That's happened to me once, traveling in the train in the olden days. I went to the bathroom in the middle of the night and then you saw, oh wow, what happened to my face? A big scar here? I tried to wash it, it would not go. I was very upset, could not sleep for the rest of the night. And then, Swami, why are you so upset? Oh, something happened to my face, there's a big scar. Where is it? Yes, I saw it last night. Where did you see? I went to the bathroom and I saw myself. So they took me there, and then what was there was a spot on the mirror which I thought was a spot on my face. So just because the face appears to have a spot does not mean it is so. It is a mirror that reveals that way. So also that myself appears to be a limited being doesn't have to be so. It is the mirror, the mind, that reveals the self as the limited being. Therefore, Vedanta so much emphasizes the mind or the preparation of mind. All of you must have heard, isn't it? What Antahkarana Shuddhi, or have you heard of the qualifications that they require for studying Vedanta? Sadhana, Chatushtaya, Sampatti. The fourfold qualification. What is that? First is Viveka, Vairagyam. You know it, so that those who know, they don't keep on repeating. Not that others do not know, but I want them to, to remember. They all know. Everybody knows the sadhana, chatushtaya, sampatti. So what's the first one? Viveka. What's the second one? Vairagya. They're all experts. The third one? Samadhi, sharka, sampatti. The fourth one? Mukshut. Therefore, the Vedantic teachers urge us to cultivate these qualities in the mind, meaning that transform the mind. Transform the mind so that the mind now reveals these qualities. Mind has that. Viveka, Vairagya, Samadhi, Shatka, Sampatti, Mukshutvam cha iti. Or Antahkarana Shuddhi, the purification of mind. I would say that of these four, the most important is Samadhi, Shatka, Sampatti. Meaning, Shama, of them also, Shama and Dhamma are the most important qualities. Shama is tranquility of mind. Dhamma is the control of the sense organs. Other things will follow. So we have to cultivate these qualities. Then only mind becomes a mirror which reveals the self. To the extent that the mind cultivates these qualities, to that extent the mind reveals the true nature of myself. Sometimes we feel happy with ourselves for no reason. Usually we are happy because of some reason. Why are you happy? Oh, the letter came, Swami. Are you happy? I got a job. Happy because I got promotion. Happy because whatever reason. in a rare case, why are you happy? I don't know, Swami. I'm just happy this morning. Because the mind has become free from those ragadveshas, impurities. Sometimes we are fortunate enough to be gifted by that kind of a mind momentarily, when the mind is just happy, cheerful, pleasant. Result of the pura punya. Some punya or virtuous action which we have performed in the past, when they fructify in present, the mind is happy without any reason sometimes. Yes? Yeah, we will. So, that's a good question here in an audience like this, as to where and how much we should talk about. But now that you asked, the request is, can we briefly elaborate upon the Samadhi Shatka Sampatti? It's a good question. Shamaha means tranquility of the mind. It's a quality. As I said, this has to happen. And we have to work. We do what is necessary in order for this to happen. The mind has to become tranquil, and mind's nature is tranquility. Just as in a pool of water, it is the nature of water to be tranquil, to be calm, free from waves, wavelets. Unless you throw a pebble, then disturbances created. Or we throw some dirt, water becomes impure. So impurity in water is not the nature of water, it is something that is incidental, something that is extraneous, not something that is inherent. Impurity is not the inherent nature of water, impurity is the incidental or extraneous thing. Similarly, the waves and distraction, disturbance on the surface of water also is not the nature of water, it is brought about by something else. It is something that is incidental, something that has a reason. If you leave the water as it is, then it is clean and tranquil. So also, the nature of mind is that it is clean and tranquil. But then, over all these years, over many past births, and over all these years in this birth also, if you have not lived life always with viveka or discrimination, meaning that we have not always made right decisions or right choices, we may have made some wrong choices as dictated by anger, by greed, by jealousy, by resentment. And these enemies find a doorway to enter. So all the enemies are summarized as raga and dvesha, attachment and aversion. So this raga, dvesha or attachment and aversion are considered to be the impurities of mind, which make the mind impure as well as create distraction in the mind. They disturb the tranquility of the mind as well as they disturb the focus of the mind. Mind becomes restless. Mind becomes extrovert. Therefore, removal of these factors called raga and dvesha, attachment and aversion is the first step. The mind that is free from raga dveshas or attachment and aversion is the mind that enjoys tranquility. It's called shama. Shama means the tranquility of the mind. When the mind is essentially free from raga dveshas, attachments and aversions. And for that, Lord Krishna has given a program in the Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna has given the program called the Karma Yoga. What is Karma Yoga? Performing karma means duty. Performing duties with the attitude of yoga. Bhashyakara would say, yoga means Ishwararpa Buddhi, meaning that performing our duties as an offering to Ishvara. Or at least performing duties without any expectation of reward. Do what you are required to do without an expectation of a reward. Sounds very simple, but rather difficult, because we are habitually oriented to always expecting reward for what we do. First is, what is in it for me? Before doing anything, what is in it for me is my first question. Meaning that there is always or generally an expectation of a reward from whatever I do. No, Swamiji, I don't expect. Well, do you get disappointed as a result of what you do? Do you get? The disappointment means that we did not get the reward that we expected. If I feel hurt, there was an expectation. Feel disappointed, there is an expectation, etc., etc. So all these feelings that I have, and I don't say that everybody has them, but this shows that something that I expected, the expectation is not fulfilled. That's what makes me unhappy in one way or the other. So all our unhappiness or sadness is the result of unfulfilled expectation. So either I struggle to see that my expectation is fulfilled, or I drop the expectation. To fulfill my expectation, I must control the whole world which has to fulfill my expectation, or I just let go of the expectation. This is what I can will. That's what Lord Krishna teaches. That perform your duties. Number one, you must do what is expected out of you. You cannot escape your responsibility, you cannot escape your duty. And when you fulfill responsibility duty, then also make sure that you have no expectation of a reward. This is a very big deal. Big expectation, But this is what Lord Krishna prescribes as the first step of discovering happiness for myself. The first step of remaining free from making myself unhappy. Who makes myself unhappy? I. Who makes myself happy? I. No, Swamiji, this person told me this, that person did this, that person did not do that. That is all right. That's where it was there. But unhappiness or happiness is the way I reacted, and that is what is in my hand, is it not so? So this is all karma yoga. When I have these attitude and values in life, the mind slowly, progressively becomes free from its habitual reactions. And as the mind becomes free from reaction, becomes tranquil. So shama is the first value, tranquility of the mind. And how to acquire it? By giving up the expectations. You call it desire, but I would call it expectation. I mean, let go of expectation. Become large-hearted enough, okay, doesn't matter, I'm doing it anyway. Let it be my offering to you, my offering to Ishvara. And Dhamma is the control of the senses, control of the organs of action. Hand wants to do something, I don't allow. The speech basically, wants to say something, I don't allow. Something happens inside and wants to, somebody told me something and I want to give it back. I say to my, organ, no, I'm going to talk. My hand goes this way, I keep it there. Meaning that I react, and that anger in me often wants to manifest as a violent action at the level of organ of action, either speech or other organs. Keep them under control, not allow them to violate the value. It's called Dhamma. So Shama is to be able to work with the mind and reason with the mind, urge the mind to give up the expectation. If the mind does not give up that expectation, then I take, law in my hand and I say to the mind, you are not going to, your expectation will not be expressed. So, Shama is when the mind with understanding gives up the factor that disturbs. Dhamma is by will, I let the mind give up what it has need to. So Shama Dhamma. These are the basic things. Titiksha, forbearance. And there is a lot of pain in our life. Physical pain, emotional pain, pain at the level of ego, a lot of pain is there. When you interact with the world, something or the other gets hurt. We feel hurt. We feel unhappy. Sahanam saradukhanam, putting up with all the unhappiness, all the, not sorrow, unhappiness, discomfort, mana, honor, dishonor, comfort, discomfort. Easier said than done, but I'm just repeating, Easy for me to repeat. But that is what titiksha is. Sahanam Sarad, Vivek Chudamani gives a very terse or, the definition of titiksha, which is very tough. Sahanam Saradukhanam, putting up with all the dukkha, all the discomfort of the body and the mind, apratikara purvakam, without retaliating. Usually you say something, I want to retaliate. Some pain comes, I want to retaliate. Don't retaliate. Feel warm, start fan. Feel warm, start AC. Feel discomfort. So I keep on doing all the time to avoid discomfort. Live with them. That's the value. Titiksha. So these are the values which bring the tranquility of the mind. Shama, Dhamma. So this is what Vedanta teaches us, that we have to cultivate the mind with these values so the mind progressively becomes free from its distortion, becomes a mirror which is more like plain and clear and reveals the true nature of ourselves. So with that, we will take a break this morning and continue this evening at 5 o'clock. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः।